So today we're talking about how to build containers for Java applications, and in particular using a tool called Jib, which I think is really nice. So what makes it nice? Well, the first thing is it integrates with both Maven and Gradle, so it's really easy to set up for an existing Java build. But the other thing, which is kind of surprising, is that it's all self-contained. It doesn't rely on an external tool like Docker to do the actual container build, which is, kind of surprising. So you can set up CI/CD for your application without needing to install and configure Docker, which is really sort of nice. And the reason this is possible is that there's a detailed specification that defines what a container image is, as published by a standard called the OCI, or Open Container Initiative. And at the end of the day, a container image is really just a file system plus some metadata. So Jib just creates the file system itself and cuts out the middleman. Okay, that's enough talk. Let's jump straight to a demo. Here I have my demo application. It's a very simple Java Spring Boot application. I will show you the source code of it. So, very straightforward. All we're doing is creating a Spring Boot application that will return hello from Jib and Chainguard. And it also has a health endpoint. Other thing we can take a look at is the pom.xml. So this is a Maven build. In this case, we're going to be using the Maven plugin. And this is a basic Maven plugin. I've not added Jib to it yet. We'll do that together. So it's targeting Java 21, and we've got a build timestamp here. Spring Boot version 3.5.6. And that's about it. We can build this. Cool. I built it before, so that was pretty fast. And then we can run it. So I can just do this java-jar. I'm actually going to put an ampersand here so we can also hit the endpoint. So I believe this is running at localhost 8080. Yeah, and there we can see you get your hello from Jib and Chainguard. And put it back to the foreground. Next step, how can we build it with Jib? So let's open our pom.xml file. And we're going to add a plugin. So we've got the plugins here. The first one's the Spring Framework, and we're going to add another one in here. And this time we've got the Jib Maven plugin, version 3.4.6, and it's going to do a Docker build here, or the goal is Docker build. So we're going to use the cgr.dev/chainguard/jre latest image. This image is on the free tier, so you can follow along at home and it'll all work. Other versions of Java are available from Chainguard for a paid subscription. We're going to build for two architectures, AMD 64 and ARM 64. And we're going to call our image Linky and expose port 8080 on the container. And we can just run our clean install again, and that should work. Yep, and we've built image Docker daemon as Linky. Now we can type docker images Linky, and we see it was just built and it's 467 megabytes. So the next thing I want to do is run gripe on Linky. So gripe is a vulnerability scanner. And we'll check that if there's any known vulnerabilities found in this image. We are using a Chainguard base image, and it's a very simple application, so in this case we get 0 vulnerabilities, which is great. Let's check this works correctly. Okay, so that spun that up. I should be able to do curl localhost 8080 again, and you get hello from Jib and Chainguard again. Before I said you don't need a Docker daemon at all, and here you can see quite clearly the image got loaded into Docker daemon and the build step was using it. But you don't have to do that, and I'm going to show you how you do a build without loading it into the Docker daemon. So we're going to open up the pom.xml again. And we're going to change this again. We're going to replace this plugin with a new definition. So I'm going to replace this Docker build plugin that builds and installs into the Docker daemon. And I'm going to add this new plugin. And what this new plugin, or new version of the plugin, does is call build rather than Docker build. So this time it's going to build the image and push directly to a container registry. So still using the JRE latest image, and we're still building for both AMD 64 and ARM 64. And the registry we're going to push to is actually Docker Hub in this case, and I'm going to push to my own repo in Docker Hub, which is Mouat, and we're going to call it jib demo. And again, we're opening port 8080. So let's see what happens if we do this. And that's building, and now we're pushing up to the registry already. And that's the image pushed. And we can see it's pushed as this value. Now, I just want to make clear, like, this hasn't used Docker at all. So this image isn't in my local Docker daemon. I can, of course, pull it though. So that's the image pulled, and we can run it again, just like before. And yeah, it works just the same. Curl local host 8080, and we get hello from Jib and Chainguard. Okay, so that's really quite interesting because we've now pulled this image, and creating and pushing off the image did not require Docker. Another interesting thing that I'd like to show you is building to a tarball. So say you don't want to push directly to a registry, you want to save the image locally, but you still don't want to use Docker, you can do that. So delete this old plugin. And we're going to put this new version in here and see what it says. So this time we've done build tar. So it's going to build a tarball for our image instead of pushing it to a registry or loading it into the Docker daemon. Same image. We're only using one architecture here. There is a limitation that you have to specify a single architecture for tarballs. I'm going to call it linky, and otherwise pretty much the same. So again, run maven clean install, and this time it's calling build tar, and it should somewhere, there we go, build image tarball here. So what I can do is run docker load and load this file directly into my Docker daemon. There you go, docker loaded image linky latest. So that's what I want to share with you. If you're building Java images, please do take a look at Jib. It's really easy to configure and use, doesn't require Docker, and it pairs really well with Chainguard images. As ever, if you do try this out, please do let me know how you get on.